only respectfully listened to, but sometimes even agreed with. I am your host, Titan, and this show is Making Waves. Here's how it works. We've chosen a couple of volunteers, and they chose a topic that's important to this industry that they want to debate. 5 anonymous judges are going to listen while each volunteer spends 4 minutes on opening arguments, then answers 4 rebuttal questions from the other side, and then each spends 2 minutes on closing arguments. Then the judges will render their decision as to who had the better argument. And the best part of all, you guys get to judge the judges. You know, the next 20 minutes may not change your life, but it just might change your mind. And it's all brought to you tonight by our good friends, Tong Jerky. Got to try this stuff. Riptide, let's make some waves. Now, before I talk to the judges, I want to talk to you. How would you like to join us here at Aquatik? You want to have a little fun? You want to show off for the rest of the community? You think you know about a topic that might be worth debating? Do you think you have what it takes to debate it? Would you like to go home with a cool $100 cash in your pocket? Or even if you're runner-up, a $25 gift card to the platform of your choice? Come on and join us here. Have some fun. We make it really easy. Riptide is going to put a graphic up on the screen right now, a URL that you can go to. It is aquatik.gg/making waves. Again, that's aquatic, you know that has a K, .gg/making waves. It'll bring you right to our super easy new form. We have simplified the heck out of this. Just, tell us your Discord name, give us your email address, send it on over, and LV or one of the other members of our team will contact you and we'll get things started. Come on and join us here. Have some fun with us. All right, now judges, I am talking to you. You all know that you're anonymous. You all know that there is no pressure on you to vote one way or the other. I ask that you please leave your personal opinions aside tonight and base your decision solely on the arguments you hear here. You will submit your decisions. I will announce the winner, and then I'll let you know if the rest of the community agrees with your decision. Now, before I introduce our volunteers, let's see what our topic is for tonight. Tonight's topic is video games are addicting. Now, we're not talking about addicting like, oh, I can't wait to get home and play this game. We're talking about addicting like, hey, I need a 12-step program. This thing is really starting to impact my life. Video games are addicting. Joining us tonight arguing the pro side, agreeing with this statement, is our friend Bluesskkii. Bluesskkii, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Oops, Bluesskkie's muted, or I can't hear him.
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Technical problems. Sorry about that, Bluesskkii. How are you tonight?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Sorry I couldn't hear you. Thank you very much for joining. I appreciate all your work tonight.
Thank you for having me.
And joining us on the con side, disagreeing with this statement, is our friend DarkSpade. Spade, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty all right. What about yourself?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thanks again for all your work. Appreciate you guys coming, both of you, and joining us. Now, just so you know, earlier tonight, Bluesskkii won our coin toss, and he elected to defer. So, DarkSpade, you will be beginning. You will have your 4-minute opening argument. Then, Bluesskkii, you will submit your opening argument. Now, since Bluesskkii is speaking second, DarkSpade, you will ask him your 4 rebuttal questions, and then Bluesskkii, you will return the favor. And then DarkSpade, you will get your 2-minute summation, and Bluesskkii, you will get the final word. All right, now, as your time starts to run out, Riptide is going to play a nice little sound for you. Sounds a little like this. Like you're in a prize fight or something, and that means you have 30 seconds left to stay standing. and finish your closing point. All right, I think we're good to go. I think that's everything. Bluesskkii, we're starting with you. Tonight's topic is that video games are addicting. You are here to agree with this statement. Make your case. Oops. Oh, no, it's a con. I apologize. See, that's my first problem. Usually it's you, Riptide, that I can blame. You're right. I'm sorry. Thank you. Bluesskkii going, no, I ain't going first. I'm leaving it up to Spade. Spade, you're arguing con against this. Go ahead. Make your opening argument.
Thank you very much for having me. So imagine this. You are an average worker, working the average 9 to 5. What do you want to do when you get home? Eat dinner? Sit on the couch, watch some TV? Or is sitting and watching a bit too mundane for you? Do you want to take part in the action that you see on the screen? Because that's what gaming will let you do. You just come back from work and you hear about this new hot game called Overwatch. You're like, okay, I might as well pick it up, see what this is all about. So you go ahead and perks it, download it while you're at work to simplify the process, and you start playing. You play for a good, probably around 5 minutes, maybe 30 minutes if the match is going really well. And basically, once you get to that point, you level up. And what do you get when you level up? You get a loot box. Now, some people would say that these loot boxes are akin to gambling, and gambling which could lead to a possible addiction, possibly getting that high that you need in order to keep functioning. However, I would argue that these simple boxes, and in general, video games, are not at all addicting. For example, imagine this. You are a kid and you're going to a restaurant, and every restaurant for some reason has these little toy dispenser machines that you put a couple quarters in. Some could argue that would be gambling. But to bring up that, why would we allow children to take part in this? Why would we let children gamble away? Next things up, if we were to mature as adults and we move on to something similar like Magic the Gathering, that in itself is chance. However, these are not gambling and these are not addictive because they're simply like mini games that people play every day, and a majority of people have not had any issues with. The real issue here is in regards to mental illness. This, for specific cases, ADHD and depression, are basically, they are underacting dopamine receptors in your brain, and they do not allow you to do what you want. Basically, you need to search for that dopamine high. However, just because you are searching for that, it does not mean you're addicted. It means you're searching for that thing to get you through your addiction, to get you through your depression, or for that satisfaction of helping your ADHD. I myself have been an example of this because I do play video games quite frequently. However, this is mainly to help out. Now, if we refer to several studies done by Science Daily, you will find that 99% of people who play video games have no significant correlation that shows they are leading into an addictive lifestyle. Rather, it is more certainly linked to mental illness that we will be given a certain disposition and the potentiality of playing longer than what would be considered healthy. And, you know, video games allow people to express themselves clearly and to escape the world they do not care for. Thank you.
Nicely done. All right, Bluesskkii, now it is your turn. Again, the statement tonight is video games are addicting. You are here to agree with this position. Make your case.
You're muted, buddy.
Good evening. It is your friendly neighborhood Bluesskkii here, and we are here to talk about how video games can be addicting, the possibility of being addicting, and how in some countries, including the U.S. and places like Norway, that it's classified as an addiction. Okay, so you're probably wondering, how can gaming become an addiction? You know, the dopamine, as was mentioned by my opponent, the feel-good chemical that is released when we do things that we like or do things that are good or that stimulate us in a way that's triggered by video games. If it makes you happy, and of course that can get you addicted, because that's what's gonna it's gonna control your response. You're gonna want more and more of that. And I admit, not everyone is gonna be addicted to it, but there's a possibility. There's always that 1% that can go beyond that. There is always, well, it could be more than 1% even. Let's look into some facts, like stuff published in the American Journal of Psychiatry that was a study conducted by multiple people with PhDs, conducted that adults in US, UK, Canada, and Germany, 0.3 to 1% fit the criteria for IGD. And IGD, if I'm correct, is internet gaming disorder, which basically you're letting gaming get to that point where it comes and disrupts your life. And I have seen multiple examples in my lifetime, personal experiences with people in my life who have let gaming get in the way of school, get in the way of their happiness, let them take time from their family. It doesn't get to the good. It doesn't benefit their health. They stop taking care of themselves. And that's the point that proves it's possible. And then the U.S. National Library of Medicine and the National Institute of Health, like I mentioned, it's not just in the U.S., it's in Norway. 1.14 of the sample conducted in this study could be classified as an addicted gamer. So this is a world problem. Even the World Health Organization recognized it, a fact that they classified gaming addiction as a disease. South Korea government also made it to where they classify it as a disease, because 600,000 of their children in their country are having issues with it that's affecting them negatively. And I'm pretty sure World Health Organization includes it in the ICD-11, which is the International Classification of Diseases, which overall just shows that it can be detrimental to your health. It can affect you in negative ways. It can take you away from your family. Although something that may not seem harmful whatsoever could harm you. I mean, you could say that, yes, dopamine is released by multiple things. And I guarantee that if you gave me those multiple things of examples, they could also be considered an addiction to some extent. If you get addicted and something comes in the way of how you live your life and how successful you are day to day and how much you get done, how productive you are, it could be considered an addiction. And I believe that video games could do that to someone. And I believe it's been proven on multiple occasions that it has. I play video games a lot, honestly. And from a first-hand experience, I'm not going to say I'm addicted, but I know that it consumes a lot of my time. But you need to be careful that you don't reach that border of where, oh, this is becoming an addiction. It's getting in the way of my mental health, my physical health, everything. And I thank you all for listening to me and my points.
All right. Nicely done, both of you. Okay, now, since Bluesskkii went second, Spade, you get to ask him 4 rebuttal questions. Bluesskkii, you will get 1 minute per answer. Go ahead, Spade.
All right. So I assume the first thing I should talk about is you mentioned an article from the American Psychiatric Association, the APA, and from a online forum, psychiatry.org, I see in a footnote here that says, according to the DSM-5, also known as the Diagnosis and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, which is used by um, mental psychiatrists to determine if an illness is actually happening or not. It mentions that internet gaming disorder is not currently in the DSM-5. What is your response to this?
My response to this is that I think you misheard me when I said what I quoted my study from. I pulled my study from the American Journal of Psychiatry. But yes, I understand what you mean. Like, it might not have that, but I don't believe it's actually in another one of the big books. Like, there's still big sources that have yet to recognize this problem. I agree with you. This problem isn't being recognized properly. But there is people who are recognizing the problem. People are starting to become aware. And I believe it's especially during quarantine now, it's getting worse than ever. It's becoming more recognized. So you have a good point. I'll give you that.
Spade, what do you got for number 2?
For number 2 is, if video games can be classified as addictive, why is the government allowing small children, some as young as the age of 3, experience these type of potentially addicting stimuli, especially when the brain is as malleable as it is whenever they are that age?
Never really actually thought about it like that. Wow. But I guess it's the same thing as, why do they sell child toys? Why do they let children go to the park? Why do they give them any sort of thing? Because they want them to develop their mind, don't they? I mean, yeah, you said that they're very malleable, I think is the word you used. And I guess when you say it like that, it sort of does come down to parenting. Like, how parents are going to let their kids use their time on these games. And I know that most parents that I've had in contact with limit the screen time, and actually things are implementing these production of games and stuff like that. Doesn't Microsoft and Apple have like a screen time limit that you can set on children, as well as family lockdown or like children mode, stuff like that, to where you can limit their time in their usage?
Most definitely. My next question is, would you be opposed to supporting further legislation such as that being taken into consideration in Chicago, which is seeking to ban the further sale of Grand Theft Auto 5 and similar games of that type?
Okay, I'm kind of confused at what this has to do with the addiction debate, because I'm pretty sure the sale of Grand Theft Auto 5 has to do with violence, not with addiction. Pretty sure that was the whole study, and it was about how violence was affecting it. Grand Theft Auto promoted violence, and they didn't want that, promoted crime. And Chicago, I'm pretty sure, has very high crime rates, so of course they would want something in the social space, sort of representing that in a positive outlook, especially with the community. So I could understand why they would want to get rid of that. I'm not saying I agree with it or disagree with it, but I don't believe that has to deal with whether it's addicting or not. But yeah.
All right, and your final question,
Okay.
Spade?
Yes, the last question I have is, if video games are classified as addictive, why is it easier to buy a video game than it is to get a prescription such as oxycodone or Adderall, which are potentially addictive substances?
Well, when you think about it, it's not necessarily always that easy. I know there have been multiple times before I hit the age of 18 that I couldn't even go into a GameStop and buy a game that was rated for mature audiences, stuff like that. So they might be easy to access. I mean, but I feel like, once again, if you're going to get a game, and if you're discussing children, which I'm not saying you was discussing children, falls on the parents, falls on it's kids can't help it what they're produced. Not produced. I'm getting jumbled. I apologize. But I understand your point on why it's sold so easily. But if you think about it, technically, so are cigarettes. If you meet the requirements, you can go into any store that sells cigarettes and buy them. Just how if you go into a game store and meet the requirements to buy any game, you can.
Thank you very much. Bluesskkii, it is your turn. You can let him have your questions, and Spade, you have 1 minute per answer. Go ahead.
I have a question, Mr. DarkSpade. Do you know anyone addicted to video games?
As for myself, I do not.
Okay.
Anecdotally, I do not know anyone that is addicted to video games to a point of where they cannot function as a human. However, I have seen these sensationalized stories on things like reality TV, which could possibly bring up this fear that it is happening every single day and your kid could be a victim. But anecdotally, I have not met a single person who has become so addicted to a video game that they cannot function as a person.
Question number 2.
So you're addressing that the media considers video games an addiction, and that media platforms are saying it's addiction, that they should watch out for it.
Yes, what I am saying is that they are sensationalizing it. None of this has any definite research behind it in the terms of these giant, like, they're trying to get views. That's what people want. And people want confirmation bias. They want what they believe to be true to be shown, to be backed up, even if some of the facts that they spew in some of these mainstream media shows are false. And sometimes people are putting on an act in order to seem like they are more addicted than what they actually are.
Go ahead, Bluesskkii. Question number 3.
Mr. Darkside, not Darkspade, Darkspade. I apologize. I'm so
You're
sorry.
good.
Do you ever have the urge to play video games, or find it hard to control yourself or stop yourself from playing video games?
Honestly, the exact opposite. Because, like I have said before, I have suffered from ADHD. And while, yes, there are moments where I become hyperfixated on it due to this mental illness, it has not taken over my life to the point of not having showered in 3 days, not having eaten any food in 2, not having drank anything in the past 24 hours. None of that has personally happened to me. Yes, whenever I was in school and sometimes whenever I'm at work, I do want to play, but that's more as an escape from reality and not because I need this to function.
All right. And your final question, Bluesskkii?
So was that you admitting that you sometimes get fixated on it, and sometimes that you crave it? But yeah, was
Okay. All right. So, whenever you have someone that is dealing with ADHD, they have hyperfixations where they focus on one thing for an extended period of time. It doesn't have to necessarily be video games. Sometimes, whenever I'm editing videos, I focus on that for 8 hours straight without eating or drinking. And am I saying that's healthy? No, not at all. But that's why I medicate myself, using the proper facets, prescription, all that type of stuff, to be able to actually, not have those hyperfixations. And honestly, without it, I have the exact opposite where I play a game for a little bit and then I lose complete interest in it. Like, I don't even want to touch it after a while. And that's just something of how life is. Sometimes we have predisposed, or predispositions and mental illnesses that draw us towards these escapisms from the real world.
All right. Thank you very much, both of you. While you guys consider your closing arguments, Riptide, sorry, is going to be bringing up our sponsor screen again. They have a wonderful new branding. Exemplary combination of taste and texture, coupled with a blend of spices that has been 30 years in the making. Just so you know, Tong's mission is to deliver a high-quality, soft, and flavorful steak jerky for everyone to enjoy. You got to give this stuff a try. Tong Jerky. All right, we are going to, because Spade went first, you will begin your closing argument. Spade, you have 2 minutes on closing arguments. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. And so, in summation, we realize that things are more complex than they seem. Whenever we have people that are disposed to mental illnesses such as depression or ADHD, they seek these type of stimuli in order to get rid of all of their anxieties in the world. They want to be able to ignore the outside world, all of the bad news, all of the bad times, all of the diseases, all of everything that is currently going on in this world, to just escape. And especially if you have depression, this is a very healthy way and alternative to other things. It's a lot healthier than if you were to actually be doing, some drugs that would increase that dopamine in your brain and make you forget everything. This is 100 times healthier than binge eating or lack thereof. What the real problem is mental illness. Without proper studies into how mental illness affects us and our consumption of media, whether it be video games, television, YouTube videos, Twitch streams even. These are what need to be looked into. But just because depression drives people to seek that stimuli, that doesn't mean that video games or any type of media is addicting. The way I like to think of it is, correlation does not equal causation. And that is why I believe video games are not addictive. Thank you.
All right, and Bluesskkii, your closing argument.
Hey, we are back at it again. I am Bluesskkii, your friendly neighborhood Bluesskkii, and we are closing out our statement on why video games are addicting. As my opponent has mentioned, that these mental illnesses, and yes, mental illness is a great problem in the world that definitely needs more attention. From the way that he makes it sound, they could actually lead you to addiction. Like, with the fixation, could put in the hours to take you away from your other health. Could basically put you in that state of addiction with whatever your thing is. And in this case, we were talking about video games. So, yeah. And he also mentioned that there wasn't really facts to back it up when I presented facts from multiple studies and multiple organizations who do consider it a disease. There's just so much to go on to this. And he also, it's represented in the media, like my opponent said. He's presenting us some very good information for why it is. And I believe we need to look into it. Like, media is representing it as it is. I mean, they're getting the facts. They're saying we need to be warned about it. So that's what we need to do. Yeah, it's not represented completely. So why don't we represent it completely? Mental health is an issue, but it's not the debate. The debate is addiction. So I'm going to leave you with this. If you could stop yourself, would you? I mean, some people can't, I understand, but it's a problem. Sorry if that didn't go out as clearly. Thank you all for your time. Please consider me.
All right. Thank you both very much. Once again, while our judges are making their decisions, I want to talk back to you, the community. What do you think? These guys make it look easy. You think you got what it takes? Riptide, do me a favor and bring up that URL one more time. Again, join us here. Have some fun. Show us what you've got. Aquatik.gg/making waves. You'll walk home with something. You're going to walk out with a cool $100 cash or a $25 gift card to the platform of your choice. Plus, you're going to learn something. We're going to learn something. It's a win-win for everybody. By the way, speaking of making it look easy, you can come back to me now. Me, right here. Bring it on back. Bring it on back to me right here. There you go. Speaking of making it look easy, next week, you will have a special guest host. Neptune will be here. Now, I know y'all like Neptune. I know he's got that whole, sea in the arena thing going on. I mean, I get it. I understand. I make this look easy. Don't be too hard on him next week. He's gonna sort of muddle through this show, clumsy as he will be. I will be back, not to fear. 2 weeks from now, I will be back to make some more waves. All right, let's see. Do the judges have their decision yet? I'm waiting. I'm not going to tell you who's in charge of providing the decision. I can tell you who the community thinks, but I'm going to hold off on the holy mackerel. Really? Oh, wait until you hear this. Hold on. I'm not trying to tease you. This is Neptune. I just want you to know Neptune is in charge of the judges. So when we're talking, oh, there we go. Okay. The judges, that's pretty good. That's why we have an odd number of judges. Remember at the top of the show, I said 5 anonymous members? I said 5. That wasn't an accident that we chose 5 because the judges tonight have chosen as the winner, Dark Spade. Spade, congratulations, my man. Just so you know, however, before you get too full of yourself, the community is a full split. First time that's happened so far in the history of making waves. Fitty. Full, completely equal split for the community. So there you go. You can hang your head on that, Bluesskkii. Thank you both very much. Really appreciate all your effort here. Bluesskkii, before we let you go and we'll get you your nice $25 gift card, can you tell us where we can find you online?
At Bluesskkii on about anything, honestly.
At Bluesskkii. I haven't tried that about anything platform yet. I'm going to have to give that one a shot. At Bluesskkii, at about anything. Okay, all right, excellent. And how about you, Spade? Where can we find you?
For me, you can find me at twitch.tv/DarkSpadeTW.
All right. I hope you guys got that. Thank you very much for joining us again. Next week, special guest host Neptune, the one, the only. He will see you next week, and then he'll see you in the arena. Riptide, are we raving somebody tonight? Because you never tell me when that's happening. LV picks. Whoa, I can't even wait to see who LV picks her. Don't go anywhere because she's got the magic when it comes to raving. So hold on one second. We're about to rave. In the meantime, please come back, sign up on the forum, join us, have some fun, and come back next week when we'll make some more waves.